Hello, today we're going to be looking at Math 0018, Section 4.2. So today we're adding and subtracting decimals. Well, let me tell you the first thing you need for this section, a calculator. So if you don't have your calculator right there with you, and I have mine ready to go, stop the video and go get one because you're definitely going to need one. So we're going to look today at adding and subtracting decimals and how to solve some application problems with decimals. Now, the thing that you have to remember about this section, yes, you can use a calculator, but the calculator is only as smart as your finger, which sometimes is kind of scary. So you still have to remember your rules from way back in Chapter 1. If the signs are the same, you add and keep the sign. If the signs are different, you subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. So what I want you to do is get in the habit of letting the calculator add the numbers or subtract the numbers and do all the computation stuff for you, but you decide, do I add, do I subtract, based on the signs, and you decide the sign of the answer based on which number's bigger or things like that. That's going to make your life so much easier. Just let the calculator do the computation part. So the rules for adding and subtracting decimals, now these rules were written as if we were doing all of this work by hand. We're not. Thank goodness we have calculators. But if for some reason you're lost on a desert island and you need to add or subtract decimals, these are the rules. So we're still going to change all of our subtraction signs to addition of the opposite. So we are still doing step 1. We're going to change those signs if we need to, any subtraction signs. Step 2 and step 3, the calculator is going to do for us. We would not have to line them up with the decimals lined up. If we were doing all the work by hand, we would. And then step 3, we add or subtract the digits in columns from right to left, just like you do for regular whole numbers, but the calculator will do that part for us. So the main thing we need to do is step 1 and then follow the addition rules. Okay, so that is the main thing, is you need to know, do I add or subtract with these decimals? So remember, same signs, add, keep the sign, different signs, subtract, and keep the sign of the larger number. Alright, so let's see what we've got going on here. So here's some problems to practice on. Negative 41.2 minus 3.8. So we have subtraction. The first thing I want to do, remember with subtraction, we're going to do keep, change, opposite. So we're going to definitely be doing that to keep our signs straight. So negative 41.2, that stays the same. Change it to plus and take the opposite, would be negative 3.8. Now, at this point, we pick up our handy dandy calculator and look at the signs. The signs are the same, so I add and keep the same sign. Now, I do not put any negative signs into my calculator. I am just going to do 41.2 plus 3.8, and that gives me 45 even, okay? But I know to keep the same sign, so it's negative 45. Okay, so you figure out the sign, you figure out the operation, and then let the calculator do the operation for you. Okay, look at number 2. We have negative 9.37 plus 3.465. The signs are different, so I subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Well, which number's bigger, 9 or 3? 9 is bigger, so we know it's going to be a negative answer. Okay, so on your calculator, you're going to do 9.37 minus 3.465 because we know to subtract there. So we get a negative, we put the sign there, okay, 5.905. All right. So as long as you know your addition rules, this section shouldn't be too hard. But if you don't know those sign rules, whew, this is going to be tough. Okay. Now, look at number 3. We have subtraction, so I'm still going to do keep, change, opposite. So I keep 89.387, change it to addition, and take the opposite, negative 192.4. Okay, now the signs are different, so I subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Well, 192 is definitely bigger than 89, so I'm going to go ahead and put my negative sign there. I go to my calculator and put 192.4 in first because that's the bigger number, minus 89.387, and that gives me a negative 103.013. 3. So you just have to be really careful when you're writing these and make sure that you put the decimal point in the right place and keep it all straight. Now, look at number 4. You could just go ahead and subtract those, okay? And this is a lot easier to do it that way. Look at 63. It's bigger than the 3. There's not any crazy negatives at the beginning or 2 negatives like there is on number 5. So you could just put that straight into your calculator. 63.8 minus 3.421. And that way you can just put it right in your calculator, right in order, and we get 60.379. Okay? So as you're going through this video, make sure you're trying these problems on the calculator yourself so that when you go in to take the test, you feel comfortable working with the calculator and the digits. Okay? Now number 5, boy, we have definitely got to change the signs there. So we're going to keep negative 6.83, change it to addition, and the opposite would become a positive 4.793. So now look at the signs. They're different, so I have to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. Well, the 6 is the bigger number. So in your calculator, you do 6.83 minus 4.793. And that's going to give me a negative, because the 6 is bigger, 2.037. And I always tell my students on this test, it's always good to double check, like do the problem in your calculator twice, because all it takes is one wrong number, hitting one wrong number on your calculator, and it's wrong and you don't even realize that. So be careful and do your calculations twice when you're going through this test. Number 6. We have an addition problem. So we don't have to change any signs, but the signs are different, so we have to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Well, 45 is bigger than 23, so our answer is going to be positive. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a plus sign there. Even though I don't have to, I know I've taken care of my signs. So I have to subtract 45.8 minus 23.9, and that would give me a positive 21.9. Okay? All right, so here's a couple more. Number 7 says, what is 4.798 less than negative 6.09? So remember, less than, way back in chapter 1, you have to take whatever's in front of those two words and it gets put to the end. You have to subtract it. So you're going to have 4.798. I said it and I wrote it wrong. And I don't know how to erase on this, so I'm scratching it out. All right, so let me try that again. 4.798, and we're subtracting it from negative 6.09. Okay? All right, so we have negative 6.09 minus 4.798. So we definitely have to do keep, change, opposite. Okay? All right, so that's going to be negative 6.09. That stays the same. Change it to addition, and that becomes negative 4.798. At least now I'm writing it the right way. Okay. Now, next step, the signs are the same. So the rule is I add and keep the sign. So let's see. 6.09 plus 4.798 excuse me, gives me a negative, because we keep the sign, 10.888. And that's it. All right, so number 8 here. We have some subtraction there. 35.4 minus a negative 1.68 and plus 3.7. So the only sign I need to change is that first subtraction sign and the sign of the number behind it. So I'm going to do keep the 35.4, change it to addition. The opposite would become 1.68 positive. Now, this is already plus 3.7. You do not change it. You keep it exactly the same. Okay? Look at the numbers. They're all positive. Yay! So you just go right to your calculator. 35.4 plus 1.68 plus 3.7 gives me 40.78. But you still have to know those sign rules so that you get all those signs straight and know what you're doing. Okay? All right. Look at 9 and 10. On number 9, it says evaluate the variable expression x plus y for the given values of x and y. X is negative 6.253 and y equals negative 91.23. So they want us to write that out as addition because x is negative 6.253, okay, plus y is negative 91.23, okay? So we have an addition problem. The signs are the same, so the rule is I add and keep the sign, okay? So put those numbers in, the 6.253 and 91.23, and the sign stays negative, and we get 97.483, and it's negative, okay? Number 10, evaluate the variable expression x minus y for the given values of x and y. So now we want to set up subtraction. X is negative 21.0956 and y is 6.64. So we're going to write it right in that order. Negative 21.0956 minus 6.64. So we need to do keep, change, opposite, okay? So the negative 21.0956 stays the same. Change it to addition. Take the opposite would be negative 6.64, okay? Now we have two negatives here. So the rule is you add and keep that sign. Keep the same sign. So let's see, 29.0956 plus 6.64. Notice I'm not putting any signs in my calculator. I'm just using positive numbers. 7.7356. And it's a negative. And that would be it. All right. Now, here's some application problems. Most of these are going to be kind of self-explanatory on what operation to do, but if you're not really sure, just make sure you're careful about reading the problem because it'll probably start to sink in like the second or third time that you read through it. Number 1 says you have $265.27 in your checking account. You make deposits of $224.90, $54.38, $130.76, and $30. Determine the amount in your checking account after you have made the deposits if no money has been withdrawn. That would be nice if just money just kept coming in. That's awesome, huh? Okay, so this is just all addition, okay? So I'm going to take 265.27 and I'm going to add 224.90 and 54.38. And I'm going to run out of room, 130.76 and 30. And they're all positive, so you just, well, hopefully money's positive. That would be bad. Okay, 265.27, just use your calculator. 224.90. Let's see what's next. 54.38. 130.76 and 30. And I got a total of 705.31. So double check that, but that should be it. Okay? All right, number 2. You have $60 to spend and you make purchases that cost $6.12 and $33.98. Which expressions correctly represent the amount of money you have left? Select all that apply. So a lot of times when they say select all that apply, you may have more than one answer, okay? In fact, up here, here's a hint, which expressions, okay? Doesn't mean there will be more than one answer that's correct, but it could be, okay? So you started with 60 bucks, right? And then we bought some stuff. So look at A. Well, that's subtracting $60. So that's totally out, okay? But B, C, and D, they all started with $60, okay? So that could be starting out the right way. Now, look at B. B, C, and D. 60 started on B minus the 612 because you bought that minus the 33.98. Well, that's if you were writing these down, say in your checkbook or something or in a ledger, that would be correct because you spent those two amounts. So B is one of the choices that's correct. Now look at C. 60 minus 612. That's correct because you spent the 612. But then they added the 33.98. Well, that's wrong because the $33.98 was money that you spent. So that's out, okay? Look at D. We started with 60. Now, this is another way that you could do the problem, is you could add the two amounts that you spent and subtract those two, like the total of those two, from the 60. Okay, which is what's right there in D. They subtracted the total of those two because that's what you spent. So D was also a good choice. So B and D are the answers there. All right, number 3. Your beginning balance in your bank account is $684.60. You pay bills of $75.70, $215.29, and $94.56. You then make a deposit of $981.46. Determine the ending balance. Okay, so we've got all kinds of stuff going on here. Let's see, we started with $684.60. Okay, now we paid bills. So those 3 bills, those are all subtractions because it's taking money out of our account. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of do it as a running problem. Like I'm going to start and I'm going to subtract 75.70. Okay, so 684.6. And actually, you know what? Let's do something to make it a little bit easier. I think a lot of you might have done it, would probably do it this way. If you know you have 3 bills, right, that you have to pay there, let's add up the bills. So let's scratch this first part. Okay, we're going to start with $684.60 and we're going to subtract all the bills. So I'm going to add $75.70, $215.29, and $94.56. I think that's easier to do that addition first. Of course, it doesn't really matter, you're using a calculator, but still, it's just less places you can screw up. So $215.29 and $94.56. So the total of the bills is $385.55. Okay, so we subtract there. 684.60 minus 385.55 gives me 299.05. Okay, so that's what I have left after I pay my bills. You then make a deposit of $981.46. Well, that deposit is money in your favor, so you're going to add the $981.46. Okay, so let's see, 18, carry a 1. Now, let me double check this because I did that by hand, which is kind of scary. Let's see, 981.46. Oh, I am good. That's right. So your ending balance is $1,280.51. Okay? All right, so here's some problems for you to try. So pause the video, make sure you got your calculator in your hand, and have at it. Okay? So number 1, 1.04 minus a negative 8.4. We need to change the signs there. So we're going to do keep, change, opposite. Okay? 1.04 stays the same, plus, change it to plus, the opposite would be 8.4. So now it's just a simple addition problem. Not simple, but, you know, just plain old regular addition. Add them up, and you get 9.44. Okay, number 2, we have addition and subtraction. So we're going to keep the first part, negative 7.3, plus 7.59. That's already addition, so we don't mess with it. But now the 7.59 stays the same. Change the addition to change the subtraction, sorry, to addition, and take the opposite would be negative 14.34. Okay? So now the 2 negatives, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add the 2 negatives first, and I know that's going to be a negative answer. So let's see, we have 7.3 plus 14.34, and that will be a negative 21.64 plus 7.59. So we have a negative and a positive. We have to subtract there and keep the sign of the larger number. So we're going to subtract 7.59 from that, and we get a negative 14.05. Okay? All right, so number 3, you have negative 5.6 minus 5.9. So again, keep, change, opposite. Negative 5.6, keep it the same, plus, and then the opposite would be negative 5.9. So look at the signs. They're the same. So we add and keep the sign. So go ahead and put that negative sign there. 5.6 plus 5.9 gives you 11.5. And it's negative. Number 4. What is negative 2.3 less than negative 5.89? All right, so this one's a little bit harder. You've got less than there. So remember, whatever's right in front of those two words, that goes at the end. So we're going to have negative 2.3, and we're going to subtract it from negative 5.89. So we have negative 5.89 minus a negative 2.3, because you want negative 2.3 less than the 5.89. So we have to do keep that the same, change it to addition, and the opposite would become a positive 2.3. So now we have a negative and a positive. So the rule is subtract, keep the larger sign. So let's see, the larger sign is the negative. So I'm going to put my negative there. And I have 5.89 minus 2.3, and that gives you a negative 3.59. Okay? Number 5, evaluate the variable expression x minus y for the given values of x and y. X is negative 0.76 and y equals negative 5.44. So we're going to write out x, which is negative 0.76, minus y, which is negative 5.44. Okay, so negative 0.76, we keep that the same, change it to plus, the opposite would be a positive 544. Okay, now look at your signs for the sign rules. A negative and a positive, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. Well, the 5 is definitely the bigger number, so we know it's going to be a positive answer. And you use your calculator to help you with the computations. 5.44 minus 0.76, and you should get a positive 4.68. Okay? Number 6, we have one subtraction sign there that we need to change. So we keep negative 4.7, change it to addition, take the opposite, would be negative 6.463. And now be careful, plus 18 stays the same. You don't do anything with it. Okay? Now look at the first two numbers. They're both negatives. So I'm going to add those and keep the sign. Okay? So I'm going to add 4.7 and 6.463, and I get negative 11.163 plus 18. That comes down. So now you have a negative and a positive, and you have to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. All right? So the 18 is bigger, so I know it's going to be a positive. So start with the 18 and subtract the 11.163, and that gives you a positive 6.837. All right? Now, let's see. Here's some application problems. The life expectancy in the United States in 2014 was 78.94 years. The life expectancy in Japan in 2014 was 83.59. We should all move to Japan. Determine the difference in life expectancy between Japan and the United States in 2014. Okay, so the key word here, difference. All right, so they want us to find the difference between Japan and the U.S. Well, Japan is 83.59, and we're going to subtract the life expectancy here in the U.S. be 78.94. Okay, and you don't even have to change any signs or anything. Those are just two positive numbers. 83.59 minus 78.94 is 4.65. Okay, so that's the difference in life expectancy, about a little bit more than 4.5 years. Number 8, the average pay for teachers nationally is $43,269. In Florida, the average pay for teachers is $47,780. Determine the difference between Florida's average teacher pay and the national average teacher pay. Okay, so we're just going to subtract again because it says difference. So 47,780 minus 43,269. Okay, so let's see, that's going to be 1, 1, 5, and 4. Let me double check that just to make sure that I'm not screwing up. Perfect. Okay, so the difference there would be $4,511. And I'm pretty sure that's it for section 4.2. Yep, that's it. So good luck on that section.